Today, I am going to share with you why my religious deconstruction was so easy. I've talked before about how the deconstruction from my Christian faith was an extremely easy process. It happened just like so fast within probably a matter of days. And the part of the deconstruction that was more difficult for me was the fallout in my relationships and my community. But the actual deconstruction was so easy. And I'm going to share with you why I am no longer religious and where I ended up landing in that process. This video is also part 2, episode 2 in my series called Rethinking My Beliefs. In part 1, I shared about how objective truth should be universal and easily accessible and knowable to everyone. And how if you want to find objective truth, you have to look for the underlying universal common threads that flow through everything. That truth cannot be monopolized by one religion or one religious text, such as the Bible or the Quran, that it should be easily knowable to everybody. In this video, I'm going to share with you quotes from a variety of different sources, from near-death experiences, from mystics, from the teachings of Jesus, from channeled sources, and finally from various religions. And we're going to see if we can identify any common themes. First, we're going to start with a category of people who have had a direct experience with what we call God or the divine or the source. We're going to hear from near-death experiencers. What do near-death experiencers say about God, about reality, about who and what we are, and what God is? Let's see if we can identify any common themes. From David Ditchfield. And I looked, and there was this huge tunnel of white light. And this tunnel of white light was coming toward me, and the intensity of light that was coming from the middle was just so profoundly beautiful. I looked in awe because it was surrounded by all of these flames that were slowly circulating all the way around. It was very powerful, very epic, almost frightening, but I felt no sense of fear there. The energy that was coming from the center of this light was causing every molecule of my body to vibrate with a sensation of love and of being, and it was just beautiful. So I knew at that point in time that what I was looking at here was the source of all creation. This is God. From Dennis Bullock. I experienced God, and it was overwhelming. The love, every time I think about it, I just go crazy about it. It's so overwhelming, I can't really put it into human terms. From Brick Groves. I was being held in this way that's truly ineffable. I've never experienced being held in this lifetime the way that I was held there, and it was like I was just melting into this divine love. And the same time it was holding me, there was this inner knowing that I was holding part of myself, because what was holding me, I was a part of. Peter Panagore. Then this love expanded. It was eternal love. All the love that is, all the love that was, all the love that will be on a universal scale, all the love, the size of our universe, focused in on me like a laser right inside me, till I was illuminated with this divine gift of love. And the voice said, "In the way that I love you now, I've always loved you, and I love everyone." From Norma Edwards. I was instantly aware that light and love are the same particle, and I was acutely aware that I had merged with this light and I had become love. From Karina Ferrigno Martinez. I can't explain the power of this love. It's so intense and beautiful. From Nancy Rhymes. I had never felt this level of love from anyone before. This was big, really big, and very welcoming and so peaceful. I just wanted to melt into it. And in another interview, she states, what I learned in heaven, that divine love was somehow forming the scaffolding or the structure of that place. So it was a really integral part of life there, if you will, that sense of love. But it's here too. And so that pervasive love is forming a structure here too. And we can learn to tap into that and to use it and to explore it. It's here, not somewhere else. From Diane Sherman. I'm feeling feelings I had never had before. I'm feeling cherished. I had never felt cherished. I had never felt loved unconditionally. I had never felt safe on the level that I was feeling it. From Johnny Davis. I was in a space where I felt so loved, and it just enveloped me like a mother holding a newborn. From Anne Bartolavi White. I began to be immersed and engulfed in this liquid golden love. It held me, it surrounded me, encircled me, just kept going round and round, and it just held me in an indescribable love. I became curious about it, and I asked, "What is this? Is this God?" Yes, I was given. This is God. This is love. This is light. This is me? Yes, you are the light of the world. Let your light shine. God is love. All these Bible verses began to come to me. From Anne Murphy. The main thing was that it was pure unconditional love that was receiving my essence. I eventually realized that this light was my own being too, that I was part of this greater light and made of the same thing, made of the same substance, the same love, this unconditional love. There were no judgments, there were no opinions. It was total acceptance, like it was the warmest, complete, accepting embrace that I had never known in my short life. From Robert Aho. I became that amazing light that everyone talks about, and I became that light for an eternity. I became integrated with that light. The light in me? No difference. Exactly the same. And when you are that light, the idea of a self just seems ridiculous. And when I say light, I could say God. I could say the source. There's different ways of explaining that. It's beyond anything we can imagine. It's so intense that a million suns wouldn't be anywhere close to that intense. It was a sense of profound awareness of everything and beyond everything. It was radiant love and compassion that cannot be defined as simple love and compassion. It was beyond what we as humans can rationally experience because it was complete openness. Nothing was hidden anywhere. The essence of everything was very obvious. From Ellen Wheelton. So here I was in this place of light, and it was incredibly bright. And at some point, I lost my physical energy and I just melted into this light. It was like love embodied me. It first felt heavy on my energetic body until finally I just became the love. I just became light. I was completely in love. I was in the love. I was the love. And then everything went away. I couldn't see anything at that point. I was just experiencing being love. From Raymond Kinman. And the light got more intense and more beautiful until it just absorbed me, and I became the white light. I was the white light. The love was like wave after wave after wave of cleansing white love washing over me. Perfect love. Infinite love. That's a big word, but that's what it was. Infinite love. And it absorbed me. I had become infinite love. From Jacob Cooper. I was comforted in this. All was well, all will be well, all was always well, eternal awareness. And there was nothing to worry about. There was nothing to do, nothing to look in the past. I was just in this moment of eternal trust and knowingness of this pure, unconditional love that I was and forever connected to. It was the most euphoric sensation. From Anastasia Wesselink Moellering. This feeling that I have is that I am in complete and total oneness. I remember so clearly that I was a part of what I call a oneness in this void. It felt like everything in this place was absolutely complete. Everything that was to ever be known all existed here. Every soul experience, every soul was absolutely a part of this. And it was a place of absolute knowing. It was as if I was one with everything and that there had never been anything but being one with everything. From Lamo. I was in this golden light, and it felt like I was in it forever. I was just being at one with this golden presence, this beauty, and experiencing in myself all of creation, and realizing the oneness, the unity, the wholesome loving kindness. I was marveling at this wonderful, miraculous, timeless love. Then I looked, and over in the distance was this other presence of light. So all this is golden light forever and ever. And then in the distance is this kind of white light, and it's just there, and I can feel it. And it's even more full of love than the golden light. And I want to get to it. I said, well, I wonder if I can fly or swim. How do you get through all this love? From Jeff Olson, I knew I was in the presence of God, nothing short of that. It was so overwhelming. And the interesting thing is that I had this moment where I thought, oh no, I hope he forgives me. And what I felt as I held my little boy was this divine being come up and wrap those arms around me and hold me. And the clear message was, there's nothing to forgive, nothing but love, absolute unconditional love just poured through me. And I felt almost as if my son became part of me and I became part of God, and then we all became part of everything there is. It was almost like an inhale of breath and an exhale of bam. I was everything. I was all of it. From my upbringing, the words, I am that I am, became very, very meaningful to me because I was experiencing I am that I am. From Kimberly Clark Sharp. Suddenly, an enormous explosion erupted beneath me, an explosion of light rolling out to the farthest limits of my vision. I was in the center of the light. It blew away everything. The light was brighter than hundreds of suns, but it did not hurt my eyes. I had never seen anything as luminous or as golden as this light, and I immediately understood it was entirely composed of love, all directed at me. Though I had never seen God, I recognized this light as the light of God. But even the word God seemed too small to describe the magnificence of that presence. I was with my Creator, in holy communion with that presence. The light was directed at me and through me. It surrounded me and pierced me. It existed just for me. In an interview, Kimberly added, what mattered to me was the love that I felt from this light. It was immense. If I had been in flesh, I would have exploded like a bomb had gone off. I would have been in a jillion happy pieces, though, because this love just penetrated everything about me. It was personal, it was intense, but fantastic. From George Rodonia, the light just radiated a sense of peace and joy to me. It was very positive. I was so happy to be in the light, and I understood what the light meant. I learned that all the physical rules for human life were nothing when compared to this universal reality. I also came to see that a black hole is only another part of that infinity, which is light. I came to see that reality is everywhere. This is not simply the earthly life, but an infinite life. Everything is not only connected together, everything is also one. So I felt a wholeness with the light, a sense that all is right with me and the universe. Anyone who has had such an experience of God, who has felt such a profound sense of connection with reality, knows that there is only one truly significant work to do in life, and that is to love nature, to love people, to love animals, to love creation itself, just because it is, to serve God's creation with a warm and loving hand of generosity and compassion. That is the only meaningful existence. From Renee Passero, I moved into what appeared to be a sea of light. It was as if every atom or molecule in this room had been electrified with love, with creative and very powerful love. We think of love as being something not powerful, but this love, I realized, was the greatest force of all things. And it was as if every atom were an individual and were singing, and was welcoming me, and was full of love. And yet I was more and more attracted to what I perceived to be the center of this sea of light. It was as if in the center of this sea there was a sun, and my heart was just irresistibly attracted to that. And again, in a tremendous and magnificent instant, I entered the center of this sea of light, the sun in the sea, the light, the heart of the light, and it was as if I were devastated. It was as if I were just spider silk in the solar wind. I was completely devastated by bliss and by rapture and by ecstasy, and yet I was not. I was simply in and of and because of that light. Another quote from Renee. Before she entered the light, she states, I knew nothing exists without a purpose or without a note to sing in this grand single universal symphony, and I began to sing my note. I began to sing really, I am. That's the only words I can use. But it wasn't I am in the sense of self. It was an I am. I am one and of you. I love you. I am connected to all of you and in harmony with all of you. From that point, I was aware that there was a light that was permeating and shining from the hearts of people, from individuals, and that permeated the whole planet. And I began to move towards that light. Suddenly, I had a point of reference. Suddenly, I realized that it was love that had brought me into existence on this plane of existence. It was love that had guided me through every instant of my life. It was really love that had accompanied me throughout my whole life and accompanied every individual throughout their whole lives. And really, there was nothing that I could have done to have been worthy of that love, that unspeakable, incomprehensible, immeasurable love that I realized that I was receiving and that all individuals were receiving. From David Bennett. I felt like there was this omnipresent intelligence at hand, and then it slowly started turning light around me, and I saw this light off in the distance. I kept moving ever closer to this light, and as I got closer, there were waves and waves of love that were just wrapping me in this warm embrace. It was the most amazing feeling I'd ever had, and it felt as if this love was actually permeating my being, and it transformed me into this being of light. And as I got closer to the light appeared to me like it was millions upon millions of fragments of light, and they were all dancing and interacting, coalescing and separating. It was like they were one mind. From Linda Stewart. Ecstasy filled my soul as I looked at the radiance, many-fold brighter than a sun. The light was everywhere and everything, the brightest I had ever seen and dazzling beyond description, brilliance enough to blind or burn, yet I was not harmed. The light moved over and through me, washing every hidden place of my heart, removing all hurt and fear, transforming my very being into a song of joy. The light towards which we were soaring was the fulfillment of my search, the loving source of all that exists, the God of truth and unconditional love, the origin of creation. I was filled with complete knowing. The light was love, and love was God. Waves of consummate love which emanated from the light obliterated every burden I carried and every thought that kept me from knowing God. There was no place that God did not exist, and I was within God. I am an inseparable part of the light. The truth of who I am, indeed who we all are, is perfect love as a creation of God. All of God's creation is one creation, and I am one with creation. God and I are one, creator and created. And so we see that even though some of the details of these accounts may not line up perfectly, as is often pointed out by critics of the near-death experience, there is a very clear underlying theme that emerges. And this theme is extremely consistent across thousands of near-death experiences. And this theme is God is love. Love is the source of all things. We are all part of this divine love. We are all one in this divine love. Therefore, we are all divine. So the divinity of everything, oneness, and love are three consistent themes that emerge. What does this mean more practically? It means that since we are all part of the divine expression, the divine can be found within us. And the way that we experience the divine is through love. Now let's hear from another group of people who have also directly experienced the divine, this time from this side of the veil. I'm talking about the great mystics, those who have sought a more direct encounter with God, as opposed to the fundamentalist religious way of seeking God. The mystic tends to seek a more direct experience. In this list, I've included quotes from the great Christian mystics, the Eastern mystics, and some modern day mystics, some mystics that were authors of the New Testament. Let's look to see what the mystics have to say about their experiences of the divine and see if any common themes emerge and if they agree with the near-death experiencers. From Meister Eckhart, German Catholic theologian, philosopher, and mystic. The eye through which I see God is the same eye through which God sees me. My eye and God's eye are one eye, one seeing, one knowing, one love. From Catherine of Genoa, Italian Roman Catholic saint and mystic. In God is my being, my me, my strength, my beatitude, my good, and my delight. A few quotes from Julian of Norwich, English mystic, the most famous mystical author of the Middle Ages. God is nearer to us than our own soul, for he is ground in whom our soul standeth. The fullness of joy is to behold God in everything. God is never out of the soul, in which he dwelleth blissfully without end. The greatest honor we can give Almighty God is to live gladly because of the knowledge of his love. He that made all things for love, by the same love keepeth them, and shall keep them without end. Wouldst thou learn the Lord's meaning in this thing? Learn it well. Love was his meaning. Who showed it thee? Love. What showed he thee? Love. Wherefore showed it he? For love. From Saint Teresa of Avila, 1500s Spanish mystic and religious reformer. It is love alone that gives worth to all things. I have a couple from St. John of the Cross, 16th century Spanish Catholic priest and mystic. In the evening of life, we will be judged on love alone. When the soul then in any degree possesses the spirit of solitary love, we must not interfere with it. In a word, it is for this love that we are all created. From Angelus Silesius, German priest and mystic. Love is God's nature. He can do nothing else. Would you be God? Then likewise love in every instance now. From Paramahansa Yogananda, Indian yogi and guru, I have 2 quotes. The kingdom of God is not in the clouds in some designated point of space. It is right behind the darkness that you perceive with closed eyes. God is consciousness. God is absolute existence. God is ever new joy. This joy is omnipresent. Feel your oneness with that joy. It resides within you, and it encompasses infinity. In the universal sense, love is the divine power of attraction in creation that harmonizes, unites, binds together. Those who live in tune with the attractive force of love achieve harmony with nature and their fellow beings, and are attracted to blissful reunion with God. From Christian Sunberg, Free Birth Experiencer. Spirituality is not about believing something or doing something. It's about evolving one's consciousness and the nature of one's being toward love. I have several quotes from Rumi, Sufi, Islamic mystic, saint, and poet. If I love myself, I love you. If I love you, I love myself. You have within you more love than you could ever understand. Love is not an emotion, it's your very existence. For those who love with heart and soul, there is no such thing as separation. Love is the whole thing. We are only pieces. I have a few quotes from Richard Rohr, modern-day Christian mystic. The people who know God well, mystics, hermits, prayerful people, and those who risk everything to find God, always meet a lover, not a dictator. 2,000 years ago was the human incarnation of God in Jesus. But before that, there was the first and original incarnation through light, water, land, sun, moon, stars, planets, trees, fruit, birds, serpents, cattle, fish, and every kind of wild beast, according to our own creation story. This was the cosmic Christ, through which God has let us know the mystery of his purpose. The universal Christ is the whole created universe. Christ is everything and in everything. I have never been separate from God, nor can I be, except in my own mind. From Eckhart Tolle, German-born spiritual teacher. Being is the eternal, ever-present one life beyond the myriad forms of life that are subject to birth and death. However, being is not only beyond, but also deep within every form, as its innermost, invisible, and indestructible essence. This means that it is accessible to you now as your own deepest self, your true nature. But don't seek to grasp it with your mind. Don't try to understand it. You can only know it when the mind is still. From the Apostle Paul, Christ is all and in all. And he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. For from him and through him and to him are all things. Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you? From the Apostle John. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. I actually really struggled to narrow this list down because this is just a handful of the multitude of quotes from mystics who have lived across the centuries that we have available to us. But even with just this handful, it is clear that there is a common theme. We are all part of the divine source. We're all one in this source, and this source can be discovered and experienced by going within ourselves most directly. But by extension, it can be experienced through the rest of the creation, which is all a manifestation of the one source. And once again, our universal expression and experience of this source is love, our gravity and our connection and our attraction to each other. Moving on, the third source that I'd like to briefly touch on is channeled sources. And channeled sources are information that's been directly given to us from higher dimensional beings. There's a huge amount of material available, and I'm barely scratching the surface, but I've just chosen to include a few quotes that sum up what I see to be the universal message between many of these channeled sources. I have 3 quotes from A Course in Miracles. The kingdom of heaven is not a place nor a condition. It is merely an awareness of perfect oneness and the knowledge that there is nothing else. Nothing outside this oneness and nothing else within. The Course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. Only perfect love exists. If there is fear, it creates a state that does not exist. Believe this, and you will be free. From Law of One. Exercise 1. The moment contains love. That is the lesson or goal of this illusion or density. The exercise is to consciously seek that love in awareness and understanding. Exercise 2. The universe is one being. When you view another person, see the Creator. Exercise 3. Gaze within a mirror. See the Creator. Exercise 4. Gaze at the creation which lies about you. See the Creator. And I have 2 quotes from Seth Speaks. It is not that physical reality is false. It is that the physical picture is simply one of an infinite number of ways of perceiving the various guises through which consciousness expresses itself. The emotion of love brings you closest to an understanding of the nature of all that is. So again, we're seeing that oneness or love or the divine presence, or as Seth Speaks put it, consciousness is the only thing that exists. It is the one thing, the absolute truth. Now I'd like to share a few quotes from the person that I believe most fully and accurately represented the divine nature. As the progressive Christians like to say, if you want to know what God is like, look at Jesus Christ. So what did Jesus Christ have to say about the nature of reality? On that day, you will realize that I am in my Father, and you are in me, and I am in you. Truly, I tell you, whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me. No one will say, look, here it is, or there it is, because the kingdom of God is within you. If those who lead you say to you, see, the kingdom is in the sky, then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, it is in the sea, then the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is inside of you and it is outside of you. When you come to know yourselves, then you will become known and you will realize that it is you who are the sons of the living Father. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field. Remember that in Jesus' parables, the field represents the heart. So we could say the kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in your heart. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all that he had and bought that field. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these 2 commandments. I don't know about you, but it sounds a whole lot like oneness, divinity in everybody, and love. So if this is indeed true, then it makes you wonder if maybe the world religions, despite all of their arguing and divisiveness, and somewhere buried under all the doctrine and dogma, have picked up on this universal truth. If religious paths are indeed ways to know the divine, then you would think that somewhere buried in all the tradition and doctrine and arguing over holy books, you would think that somewhere in all of that, they would have picked up on some threads of truths. Let me read you a few final quotes from Christianity. In everything, do unto others as you would have them do to you, for this is the law and the prophets. From Sikhism, I am a stranger to no one, and no one is a stranger to me. Indeed, I am a friend to all. From Islam, not one of you truly believes until you wish for others what you wish for yourself. Also, treat others how you'd want Allah to treat you. Zoroastrianism, do not do unto others whatever is injurious to yourself. And that nature only is good when it shall not do unto another whatever is not good for its own self. From Hinduism, this is the sum of duty. Do not do unto others what would cause pain if done to you. From Buddhism, whatever is disagreeable to yourself, do not do unto others. From Judaism, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And what is hateful to you, do not do to your neighbor. This is the whole Torah. All the rest is commentary. From Jainism, one should treat all creatures in the world as one would like to be treated. From Taoism, regard your neighbor's gain as your own gain and your neighbor's loss as your own loss. From Baha'i, blessed is he who prefereth his brother before himself. From Confucianism, is there any one maxim which ought to be acted upon throughout one's whole life? Surely the maxim of loving kindness is such. Do not unto others what you would not they should do unto you. From Shintoism, be charitable to all beings. Love is the representation of God. From Scientology, try not to do things to others that you would not like them to do to you. Try to treat others as you would want them to treat you. From Wicca, I command thee thus, O children of the earth, that what you deem harmful unto yourself, the very same shall you be forbidden from doing unto another. For violence and hatred give rise to the same. My command is this, that you shall return all violence and hatred with peacefulness and love. For my law is love unto all things. Only through love shall you have peace. Only peace and love will cure the world and subdue all evil. And there you have it, the overwhelming evidence for love. The reason why I left religion, the reason why my deconstruction was so easy. We haven't even begun to touch on the quantum physics and science aspect because I honestly just didn't have the time to get into it. It has become obvious to me that love is truth. Love is the thing that unites all religions, all philosophies, all mystical experiences. Love is the most objective and highest truth. It is our universal expression, embodiment, and experience of the divine oneness that we all are. So now I like to say, in the words of Rumi, my religion is love. Thank you for watching.